Jarrett Hurd, or as Mr. Boxing Today likes to call him, Jason Voorhees. Shout out to Mr. Boxing Today. It seems like as though Jarrett Hurd and Erislandy Lara are both in agreement on wanting to fight each other, because they've both been calling each other out. Well, Jarrett Hurd initially was the one who called out Erislandy Lara, and then Erislandy Lara responded saying stuff like, you know, the typical "be careful what you wish for," and it seems like he wants to fight Jarrett Hurd. Now, I'm gonna let this be known. I've let it be known before. I'm not a fan of Erislandy Lara. I don't like his boxing style, and I think he's a cherry picker. I think he's boring. I think he's one of the most boring fighters who currently holds a belt. B, I think he's a cherry picker. I mean, this is a guy who defended his belt against Yuri Foreman. Nobody asked for that. Nobody. This is also a guy who defended his belt against Edwin Rodriguez. No, not Edwin Rodriguez. That Rodriguez dude. You know, that bum that fought Miguel Cotto. So he defended his belt against two bums. Alright? You know, people say, well, everyone's ducking him. I don't care. Defending your belt against shit fighters like that Rodriguez dude. And, you know, even Jan Savic, he was washed up by the time he fought him. And I've never even been impressed by Jan Savic to begin with. Now, and Yuri Foreman as well. Now, so because I don't necessarily like Erislandy Lara, I always want him to lose, because, and I don't know, people say, well, you shouldn't let that, you know, affect your judgment. But I don't care. He's boring. And I actually think that this fight might be a bad style matchup for Erislandy Lara. Now, when it comes to Jarrett Hurd is one of those guys that when I first saw him, I really wasn't impressed with him. You know, I thought he was like, I first saw him when he won the belt against that guy that I always forget his name. But the guy that was beating him, then he beat him. But as he's fought on, he's impressed me more. Jarrett Hurd is one of those guys that, like, he keeps coming. Like, first of all, this guy has a chin made out of titanium. Like, his chin is amazing. He seems to be able to absorb everything you throw at him. And he's one of those guys that when you fight him, you better have endurance to go 12 rounds, because he's going to be in your face for 12 rounds. Like, he's one of those guys. He's constantly in your face. And when you start seeing Jarrett Hurd put his hands by his waist, that means he's comfortable. And that's not a good thing. I mean, even in his last fight against Austin Trout was outboxing Jarrett Hurd. And Jarrett Hurd's one of those guys that he always seems to lose the first half of the fight, but then he seems to wear out his opponent, because it's like his opponents, the first, you know, they think they could just outbox him, and they're doing it. But as the fight goes on, and it's almost like they get discouraged that he keeps coming. Like, they hit him with counters, they counter punch him, you know, they hit him with their biggest shots, and he keeps marching forward. And it's like during the second half of the fight, they start getting tired because they're using up so much energy. And not just, you know, physically, but mentally fatigued. They get mentally fatigued because this guy just keeps coming. You know, perfect example is when he fought in his last fight, Austin Trout. Austin Trout was not beating up, but he was like outboxing Jarrett Hurd for the first like 5-6 rounds. But Jarrett Hurd, you know, just kept coming. He kept coming. He kept applying the pressure, and that was draining for someone like Austin Trout. Austin Trout was using up so much energy because he was outboxing and constantly moving. So he was just, that right there was exhausting. And B, he was probably exhausted by the fact that because it's also mentally fatiguing when you see a guy who keeps coming because you have to keep up with his work rate. That was also affecting him clearly. And obviously the pressure, you know, the mental pressure, and obviously the fact that he was, you know, Jarrett Hurd was landing bombs on someone like Austin Trout. And then eventually what happened? He wilted Austin Trout. He wilted him. And he became the first person to stop him. When it comes to Erislandy Lara, you know what he's going to do. He's going to run. He's going to run because that's what he is. He's a marathon runner. Just like Hughie Fury. 2 marathon runners. I might as well add Malik Scott in there. 2 marathon runners. He's going to run and he's going to outbox Jarrett Hurd for the first half of the fight. But I think Jarrett Hurd is, because, you know, I saw Erislandy Lara struggle with Alfredo Angulo. I thought in the first half of that fight he was outboxing him, but if you look at that fight, Alfredo Angulo kept applying the pressure and he was able to drop Erislandy Lara several times. So, and that was, you know, a older version of Alfredo Angulo. So someone like Jarrett Hurd, he's much bigger than Alfredo Angulo. He's like 6'1", and he's naturally much bigger than someone like Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara is 5'9". Jarrett Hurd is 6'1", so he's gonna have a 6'1" dude coming after him. Again, I could envision this fight. I think the first half of the fight he'll be outboxing him, Jarrett Hurd. He'll be outboxed. Erislandy Lara will be outboxing Jarrett Hurd, but I think that his constant pressure might be able to get to Erislandy Lara, because again, I've seen Erislandy, and you have to, if you're not the better boxer than Erislandy Lara, you have to apply the pressure. You have to do that. Jarrett Hurd, I have trust in him that he could do that. Again, I think this fight might play out like the Austin Trout fight, where you see Jarrett Hurd getting schooled and getting outboxed and, you know, getting caught with counters, but then he wears down his opponent because his opponent gets mentally fatigued, because, you know, he's going to be having this dude all up in his face for 12 rounds, A, and B, he's going to be using his feet like crazy in this fight against Jarrett Hurd, because, like I said, he's naturally a runner, and he's going to be using up all that energy, you know, just to keep away from Jarrett Hurd and the way he fights naturally, like moving around the ring and shit. So I actually hope that Jarrett Hurd beats him, because again, I don't personally, I'm just not a fan of Erislandy Lara, man. And I'm not a fan of his cherry picking. He's a cherry picker, dude. You know, Jarrett Hurd's the younger guy. Again, this is boxing. Obviously, Erislandy Lara could win, but I just hope, alright, that Jarrett Hurd finally becomes the man to end this guy's reign. Straight up. At least I'm being honest. You know, some people, they don't, you know, they sugarcoat who they want to win. I don't do that. I want Jarrett Hurd to win. Okay? Just because I'm just not a fan of Erislandy Lara, man. What do you guys think of this fight? Let me know in the comment section of this video. And if you watch the video from start to finish, I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time, man. Come on.